Yeah, good evening once again. Thank you very much. Today is Wednesday, the 14th of May, 2025. Today we are discussing a very important topic. The Vice President is in the news, Honorable W.K. Mutale Nalumango. She's in the news where she's stating that the country will remain poor. It doesn't matter how many governments or presidents we change. Our people will remain poor. There'll be very little dent towards the fight, against poverty. She said maybe as a country we should focus on poverty, but she says there will be no change whatsoever. Even if you changed government, even if you changed here she is, in her own words,
we have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. You may not even be in government.
Today, that would be our topic. We are challenging Madam Mutale Nalumango and President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema has resorted to comedy and jokes during this crisis. He seems to have launched his campaign, and they are now punctuated by dancing, by whistling, something uncharacteristic of the president. Just listen to this.
I think I've said the things I wanted to say. I want to close by saying we should keep our faith in God. We should keep our faith in God. Some more. Here more cattle on this side. Very good. We should keep our faith in God. He has been faithful to us. He carried us through. This far he has brought us. He will take us where we need to be.
Magani Abija Magani, as things get tough, comedy sets in. Before we go to the main topic, to demonstrate that we can actually fight poverty, that we can lift our country to the top 5 economies in Africa, and that we can move our country from the poorest 6th country to a middle-income country way above where it is. We've been discussing Project 2026 and beyond. A choice that the people of Zambia must make to come out of the agony of poverty, the agony of all these challenges. Just 2 key issues. There's been an update on the current health crisis. You are aware that the U.S. ambassador last week, Michael Gonzalez, held a press conference at which he bemoaned, he actually shed tears that the U.S. government had withdrawn an amount of $50 million towards malaria, TB, and HIV/AIDS, and that we're withholding this money as a result of systematic pillaging of public resources that have occurred since 2021, and that he has held 33 meetings and nothing has been done. We've seen now government swing into action where they are arresting people at the tail end, pharmacists or people that own drug stores. But the former director general of the Zambia Medicines and Medical Agency, Victor Nyasulu, has been speaking to the media. He was on Hot FM, and he was on Hot FM and on KBN. Let me see if I have the interview on Hot FM, where he revealed that there were interference from a State House official over procurement matters, and that there were matters of concern, especially from the former Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo. I must hasten to say that Victor Nyasulu faces criminal charges relating to the 61 containers that were marooned for a period of over 7 months in Makeni. These are drugs worth $24 million. He took time to narrate that this was not his fault when he couldn't participate in the corruption perpetrated by the former Minister of Health, Sylvia Masebo, and he named her. He said she decided to withhold money that ZAMSA should have made ZAMSA run independently at $15 million, and that she began to sabotage him because he couldn't collaborate or participate in the corruption. Here is what he said a bit to Hot FM.
The Minister Masebo was unhappy because she claims I didn't consult her. Meanwhile, she had the letter, the PS had the letter, and so on and so forth. So,
well, you seemed to have been frustrated way before your dismissal, so why not walk away? Why not step down?
And this is the point. I didn't realize, now I know that there's actually a scheme. So basically, she headhunts me, takes me into ZAMSA. Maybe she expected that because she sponsored me, anything she says I must do, I must say how high. Of course, whatever was right and makes sense, I did. And when she realized that I was not going to do exactly as she wanted, she basically sabotaged me. Because after she cancelled the money, I was going to her office every 2 weeks to ask for the money, and she didn't give it. And so when somebody went to her and lied that I was trying to steal 61 containers, she thought that was the chance. Because the nation needs to know that earlier in May, she called me from Switzerland and she said, I must resign. Why? Because I gave a contract to someone who they thought was PF, and somebody lied through the presidential aid, lied that we had given a contract of $15 million. Then when she told me to resign, I was just quiet. I didn't know that, in fact, she had asked the chair to ask me to resign. So, the simple thing is that, having been frustrated by me herself, she then closed the tap, and it became difficult to run ZAMSA. So if it had continued, of course, eventually I was going to actually walk away. And then, is the ambassador in order? I can't answer this. The answer to this is related, I'm sure the statement by Honorable Haimbe is loaded to answer this question.
So Victor Nyasulu, former Director General at ZAMSA, says Madam Sylvia Masebo, he was a member of the UPND. He tried to stand as a mayor for Lusaka. I think he did stand as a mayor of Lusaka, and came second to the candidate for the Patriotic Front. He says he was headhunted to be Director General of ZAMSA. And soon the flurry of instructions started coming from State House and from the Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo. And he says he couldn't play ball. So he's saying he's a victim here. He's a victim because he refused to cooperate with the corruption of Honorable Sylvia Masebo. Under normal circumstances, the police would have moved in and arrested Sylvia Masebo. Because they already have a witness who's read. He has given 4 major interviews with Daily Revelation, with Patson Chilemba, with the Daily Nation, and he was for over an hour and a half on Hot FM, and yesterday was on KBN with the IP. This is a man who wants to demonstrate that he has the facts, that he's a witness to the corruption that took place in the missing of the medicine, especially the 61 trucks where government intended to spend $75 million and put an upfront of $24 million. He also has a way in relation to how the monies were being mopped up. Remember, we've been carrying this topic where the Secretary to Treasury, Felix Nkulukusa, told Parliament about the crisis at ZAMSA. He accused ZAMSA and I think Ministry of Health that everyone steals from the top to the bottom, to the driver, to the security guard. Here we are, Victor Nyasulu alleging the minister, former Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo, has engaged in corruption. We have another matter. The Anti-Corruption Commission, Acting Director General at the time in December, Madam Mwanza, disclosed to the country that the SEC were investigating 5 ministers and a city mayor. Among the 5, all we have seen is the arrest of the Livingston mayor. The ministers have not been touched. President Hakainde has not suspended these ministers that SEC disclosed were under investigations. So clearly the president is not interested in fighting corruption. We know that among those 5 ministers is Honorable Sylvia Masebo. And we are glad that Victor Nyasulu has confirmed repeatedly to 5 interviews how he's a victim, like those drugstore owners who are being arrested. So that is an update on the issue of drugs, and we think that the mambala of all this, you know, there's a corner I started.
Reiterate what we have mentioned before as a ministry of the need for the use of formal diplomatic channels in communicating with the general public. We'd like to take this opportunity to again request our cooperating partners to take cognizance of the clear provisions of international law, including the provisions of the Vienna Convention of 1961, which outlines the expectations of conduct among diplomatic representatives, including the obligation to respect the laws and regulations of the receiving state and to refrain from interfering with internal affairs.
So for me, I call the Mambala of this entire saga my dear young brother, Honorable Hakainde, who's the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations. He has resorted to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. This is like our Bible for us diplomats. It guides, directs, and protects you as a diplomat. It was signed in 1961 in Vienna. That's why it's called the Vienna Convention. It's a treaty that establishes framework for diplomatic relations between countries. It defines the rights, privileges, and immunities of diplomatic missions and personnel, heads of mission, and it ensures that there is function effectively between the state and the host country, and the embassy that has been hosted with its staff or persons enjoying diplomatic immunity without interference. Now, why do I say is a Mambala of this entire saga? Is first of all, the US government gives us $600 million a year. You don't cite the Vienna Convention when they're giving us money. Now, when they steal that money, you want to say there's diplomatic breach of the Vienna Convention? As soon as you surrender your health sector, education sector, or any other sector to cooperating partners, the way we have done, we've lost sovereignty in those sectors. You can't come and cite sovereignty when you are quick to receive this money, year in, year out. The owners of these monies have a right to report back to where they got the money from. The taxpayers from the US want to understand how this money is being spent. And to hear that the money is being pillaged, is being stolen, they will not allow it. I remember in the agricultural sector, they used to fund a big organization called the Zambia National Farmers Union. And there was a gentleman who was an executive director there who was abusing money left and right and center. And he was very strong, very allied with politicians and leaders in government. He was a major force. The donor said, if we give you money, unfortunately, you have to yield. He put up a farm in Chongwe, he had wild animals, yet the money kept on missing. They commissioned an audit, and because he was so strong, they couldn't touch him. DEC couldn't arrest him until the audit was made public by the donors of those monies. That's the only time when it became a public embarrassment for government. Did the executive director, did the DEC move in, arrest him, and then he was finally removed by members from Zambia National Farmers Union. We've had crisis at Ministry of Health from 2008 where they suspended aid for over 3 years until government had to refund the stolen $8 million. Government, our own taxpayer, had to refund the group of donors whose monies were stolen in 2008. So you cannot cite Hakainde sovereignty and that the diplomats must keep quiet. You want to steal in silence? You want to be left alone to steal? No. If you want to demonstrate sovereignty, raise your own money, fund your own health sector, fund your own education sector. Then no one will have a say. If they want to talk about it, you say, come on. This is our country. We raise our own money. We have domestic finance, so keep away. At the moment, as a beggar, you have no right, unfortunately. This is why Project 2026 says we'll raise resources for our national budget 100%. Whatever will come is complementary because of the endowment we have in our mineral resources, in our natural resources, in our fluvial assets, in water resource and everything else. We actually ought to be a cooperating partner, donating money to Malawi, to other poor countries. But we are now among the 6th poorest countries. Come on. And we have this mentality, you want to raise a sovereignty flag that we are independent. we are sovereign, diplomats must not interfere. When they fund up to 40, 50, 60% of your national budget, that was our Mambala of the week. There's another matter. You know, the emperor is naked. I'm going to read about the emperor who's naked. This man, our minister from Copperbelt, Elisha Matambo, said Ndola is now like Johannesburg. There's been a flurry of attacks against the delusion. But you know, when you listen to Max Simue, you listen to people like Elisha Matambo, you listen to Mr. Lungu, you know, from State House, they're all in this bubble where they think that President Hakainde Hichilema has delivered. President Hakainde Hichilema has delivered, and they're making these ridiculous statements that they're making the emperor look naked. Today, Elisha Matambo has denied that he didn't say that. But here is a video. Listen for yourself.
In health, I'm sure we've worked so hard to give a new face to our two teaching hospitals, Ndola and Kitwe. You go to Ndola this evening, you will think you are in Johannesburg. We have put up state-of-the-art carpet there, road network, and the entire hospital has changed.
Yeah, so Elisha Matambo was comparing Ndola to Johannesburg. So people began to bring out pictures of those bad roads in Ndola. I think when we're doing the C400 for roads on the Copperbelt, we touched roads in Chingola, parts of Kitwe. You know, the main dual carriageway was done. But most of the roads in Ndola, parts of Luansha, were not done. And Ndola is still bad. So people were bemused by this minister who says we are like Johannesburg. So they laughed at him. And here is another video before I go into the main issue. Our people are suffering load shedding. It has become perpetual. Our power is still being exported. And I was looking at the statistics of Mozambique. It has become the largest exporter of power to Southern Africa. And the biggest consumer of that power is South Africa, parts of Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. And while we are importing power, we are again engaged in export. Just look at this confirmation.
I'm also aware of the electricity problems that Zambia is facing. But despite the problems that we have with the supply of electricity in Zambia, you still supply us with electricity. Again, you would have said, we cannot sacrifice our power when we have shortage. But you still give us. Katima Mlilo town, where I come from here, is supplied with power from Zambia. When you have a power outage here, we also have power outage. But that's the brotherhood we are talking about, the neighborhood we're talking about. And we should only be grateful and continue to exist in this manner. You spoke also about the Walsh Bay Ndola Lubumbashi corridor. I want to tell Your Honor that that corridor was developed during our time. I was Permanent Secretary of Works and Transport. And my counterpart here was Judge Sichinga, Dominic.
The power issue, I think, is huge here. And colleagues, we continue to share everything. The issue of power, SC, you know, when you are in a country like mine, when we have passed through a lot of load shedding, people say, oh, so you see, they are selling power to Namibia. This is a town in Namibia, very close to Zambia. We are talking of one-stop border, for example. And if you have one town with blackout, then how do you do 24-hour? But this was an agreement, that is the only thing I would add, was an agreement that was signed in 2020 between Zambia and Namibia. And you don't give up or relegate such commitments. As you have seen, Zambia is a reliable friend to everybody that they work with. So we don't just say because the situation has come, when in fact there is no other solution on the other side. That's why we are also importing power, as the others are, getting a bit, just a bit of power from here. We will continue. Let's invest it together in the systems, like I said, in renewable sources of energy. Together we can develop and be interconnected and ensure that there is no disruption in our economic development, because power has so much on that.
Well, the Secretary to Cabinet there from Namibia, Honorable Smata, former Minister of Information, is no longer Secretary to Cabinet. A friend of mine, Ambassador Emilia, who I was with in Ethiopia, is now occupying his position in Namibia. But the Vice President tried to underplay that expose, that no, this contract is an odd contract. We are only supplying to a town at Katimamulilo. That's a lie. The contract between NAMPAC, the Namibian Power, and ZESCO is over 200 megawatts. So Sesheke and Katimamulilo uses maybe just 5 megawatts or 10. The bulk of it goes to the city. So the Vice President was attempting to underplay, the revelation by Smata. He was sincere. And Smata is lousy. The Katimamulilo, we have losses in Zambia and in Namibia and parts of Angola. So he's from Katimamulilo and he's been a Secretary to Cabinet until recently, until we had a new president. That is this government. So we are discussing poverty and how we can come out of it. We seem like this government has given up because we see disjointed statements like this from the Vice President. But President, when I've gotten about to give up, my campaign, hoping that Zambians will forget, but sorry, but comedy. And I was bemused by his ambassador laughing at the newly introduced currency. Tuma 10 kwacho tutuma dampi, ututu shorty. And the quality of the kwacha, a lot of people are saying it's very, very bad. So I saw a sitting high commissioner ridiculing his own money, a project that has been a big issue in our country. And I thought that was very careless by my dear brother, Dr. Elias Munch. But listen for yourself. Maybe I'm overreacting, but he's laughing at our money like everyone is laughing at it.
Elias Munch here, High Commissioner for Zambia. This is what happened. Namkamonaka. So I asked my wife, now, to my surprise, and I remember what I did, she has been busy. She has put the Kalambo for something on Bayred. She has sure and did it. Someone wasn't dated. Wasn't it a 10 quatch? Akapa was Kakwaso Contway. She did it. She must say, I imagine. One day there, I can't have that's Zambia. Imagine, now you tell me, is this fair? When I'm wanted, Nango very sure Kapulupia Kavan, Tababa Febuino, Califebuino, Califebuino. You are Galupia, Nango Mlesho Galupia, yo. Kakoisu. Anyway, thank you, honey, for bringing me again. Thank you.
We have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. You may not even be in government.
I think I've said the things I wanted to say. I want to close by saying we should keep our faith in God. We should keep our faith in God. Some more. Oh. More cattle on this side. Very good. We should keep our faith in God. He has been faithful to us. He carried us through. This far He has brought us. He will take us where we need to be.
The emperor has no clothes and is being fooled by people around him. Max Moe says the president has achieved so much. He catalogs the recruitment of teachers, 45,000, 11,000 health workers, CDF, and the usual rhetoric with no impact. First, there hasn't been any job creation. Recruitment merely is recruitment. It replaces our people. Private sector jobs is what is counted as jobs. We are lucky for those young girls and boys and young men and women that have gotten the jobs. But that's recruitment. You're not creating any jobs. In fact, it offends their bosses, the IMF, who says, your national budget, you are spending it, over 47% is going to salaries and emoluments for civil servants who are under 400,000 civil servants. What about the 20 million people? How, if you have your national budget or your domestic revenue goes to paying civil servants, how will you run the country? How will you fund the projects? How will you fight poverty? It's not possible. So unless you do something dramatic in raising money so that the salaries and emoluments to public service workers should be around 10% or 15% of your national budget, it shouldn't be 52%, 47%. If you put the cost of running government another 20%, you find that there's no money. Then you include debt service. You see that your national budget is gone before you can even attend to the people of Zambia. So even the jobs they celebrate are not jobs. Jobs are those that are created in the public sector. When you do your own recruitment, where you are eating away from the national budget, because government doesn't create money. It spends money to have raised through taxes, fees, revenue, and other mechanisms. It doesn't create jobs. So the mass recruitment could be a plus, but it's a nightmare on the books because it means that development is arrested, development is delayed, that the bulk of your national budget is spent to running government and paying civil servants that are just a fraction of your population. That's why we are bringing Project 2026, whose thought process is totally different, whose approach is dynamic, and whose sense of urgency to lift our country out of poverty is different. So the emperor has no clothes. This is a famous play by Shakespeare, titled King Lear. This is probably his finest play. It's an allegory that illustrates a sharp fall from grace of a king, drunk with pride, seeking desperate need for praises, for control, who makes a series of mistakes by listening to two of his immoral daughters and bad advisors. The bad advisors only exist to praise him because they know what the president, what the king, the emperor wants. He wants to be praised that he has worked. He wants to be praised that he has delivered. He wants to be praised that he's working and people are happy in the country. So he's only surrounded by people that sing those praises. Although caring for him deeply and always wanting the best for him, King Lear rejected his daughter called Cordelia. This was his youngest daughter who frequently told him the truth. Things are not well in this kingdom. The people around you, Emperor, Your Majesty, are lying to you. Things are not well. The king distanced himself from her and threatened even to take her away, her inheritance as a princess. The emperor ignores the cries and moans of his subjects. But in the end, he lost his power, his wealth, his senses, and he lost everything. Because one day he paraded himself. These conmen came. They knew the mentality of the king, and they dressed him in these no clothes at all. Because everything that they had done, he wanted more and more. And in the end, they left him naked and they told him, these are the finest clothes in the world. King, the only people who will not see that these are fine clothes are people that are foolish. So everyone began to say, no, the king is dressed. These are the best clothes. The king had no dresses. He was so excited that he called for a parade, and he paraded him in the street naked. It took a child to come and tell him, King, Emperor, Your Majesty, you are naked. We feel that the president is not being told the truth. We feel that the more he is told the truth that you lose the coming election, he's become more desperate. He wants more praises. He has clamped down on social media. Just today, a young man was arrested yesterday. He's been in custody like many youths. This young man posted in the group called Hichilema Zambia. The young man is called Jeremy Nkunika. He lives in Ngombe. He posted an emoji with a picture of two Nigerians, someone who looks like President, the former president of Nigeria, whispering to his aide, and their words, brother, wushe wachunsu akawina. Then the boy took that picture and put laughing emojis, two laughing emojis, in a group called Hichilema Zambia. The police pounced on that boy. They've locked him up, and today they issued a statement. They're even rejecting that the boy was not arrested for the emojis. They are saying he communicated false news. They are saying he communicated malicious content. I don't know how a picture and emojis have become false news. And this picture doesn't even say the name of the president. It could be me. I cut my hair very short. But the police are being ridiculous. They are making the president look extremely bad. But I guess that's why they enacted these laws. I guess that's why they enacted these terrible laws, to cause silence. Because as soon as young people hear that another youth, just for posting in a group called Hichilema Zambia, emojis, and he's been arrested. The police went to a great extent to attempt to refute, but we have reproduced the young man's posting in this group. He just posted the emoji, and the picture doesn't even warrant his arrest. They're just embarrassing the president. But I guess they're not embarrassing. That's what they want. There's no way they would enact these repressive laws in the manner they have without getting this intended consequence. Finally, with all these opening remarks, let's get back to the topic.
We have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. You may not even be in government.
Project 2026 is a social contract. We want, it's a pledge to lift our country, to make it the top 5 economy in the world, in Africa, sorry. With our resources that we are endowed with, we think that it can be done, that we can make dramatic changes between 2 to 5 years and 5 to 10 years. The resources that we have, copper is been selling, you know, when we're selling our mines, we're selling copper at $2,000. Copper now hovers around $9,000, $10,000. Super profit. The price of emerald, the price of a sugilite, which they've just stolen. Our water and other natural resources. If we had a just and fair policy on the mining sector, if we had a proper taxation policy, we can turn around this country. If we stopped the borrowing that Msokotwane is doing and concentrated on raising domestic resources, it can be done. We have the land, we have the water, we have the rivers, we have the lakes. We have one of the best sunshine in Africa is in Zambia if you were to put up solar plants. We have everything except leadership. That's why you have a leadership that think that it can be done. That's why they think that you are yoked to poverty. Whether you replace President Hakainde Hichilema with another set of leadership, they think you remain poor because they have no vision. And we shouldn't blame them. Because whatever they had promised has collapsed. In Project 2026, we're promising low taxes. Nothing should be above 15%. Nothing. Everything. Your pay as you earn, your customs, your duty taxes, if you're importing a vehicle, everything should be below 15% and below. There should be a proper economic transformation. Foster, a low cost of living on our people. Guarantee wealth and prosperity for our people. And establish an economy that works for all. This is a Zambian vision, a vision which is thinking ahead of decades, not ahead of the election. It's a vision for the next generation. How will it be done? First, let me just speak to a very few things. There'll be some repeats of what we've spoken to. A final paper is coming out and we are distributing it to stakeholders for you to input. Civil servants, your pay as you earn will be below 0 to 15%. No one will pay above 15%. Even for all income taxes and for, including corporate companies and others, they will not pay above 15%. The state-owned enterprises will be brought to professionalism. This business of appointing relatives or tribesmen should come to an end. They'll be run professionally, boards appointed and ratified by the National Assembly, and that board will be independent and they will recruit professionals, proper administrators, proper CEOs, proper accountants, proper professionals to run, whether it's SCCMIH, whether it's ZESCO. We have to stop the leak. These companies that the state has stakes in should never be abused by the state. These are the ones that will transform our country, will help end poverty, will bring prosperity, will create jobs. What occurs is a looting and corruption because they put their relative, their friend, their nephew, who begins to give them tenders, and the company begins to bleed resources. Look what's happening to ZESCO, where it's being looted right now by what they are calling power traders. So there's what they are calling power traders. Someone stands in between, imports power from Mozambique, levies ZESCO ZESCO wheels that power from Mozambique to Lusaka, to the mines, to Congo, and a middle company that has just been created is milking millions of dollars. Look at the agreements they have with Mwamba Collieries. They forced NAPSA to invest millions of dollars, $200 million in the second plant that Mwamba Collieries, a private company, although SCMIH has 35%, but they forced NAPSA to put in money. NAPSA, if you look at their 3-year plan, 5-year plan, the investment into Lusaka Ndola Dual Carriageway, the investment into Mwamba Collieries was not there. In their investment plans, these were not there. They came from the lips of the president. You heard him make these pronouncements. So we think that state-owned enterprises will be a proper vehicle like it is in China that will foster and drive the economy forward. They'll be run professionally. The looting and theft will come to an end. Civil servants currently are burdened with loans and debts. This has to come to an end. The public service microfinance institution has to step in. There should be a mechanism to shift whatever they owe these microfinance institutions. And there has to be a new law to halt this predatory lending, because it has made our workers literally, some are killing, sorry, I can't use that word on social media. On Facebook, I'll be banned, or I'll be, so they are harming themselves, self-harm over loans that have just crowded them, and there's no space. If you can't save, if you can't leave money in the bank will not have money to lend out to farmers, to commercial entities, to those that grow jobs, that grow the economy, that grow wealth. So our huge formal people in employment, the civil servants, are yoked in debt. That has to come to an end immediately. The public service microfinance institution that is owned by government, by the pension fund, comes in. Then you pay all the arrears you owe our civil servants. They are owed a lot of money. You clear that. So in some cases, you do a debt swap. In some cases, you see how you can spread the current debt they have. You can't have the people so depressed over, at every month end. So their leave benefits, their travel benefits, their long service bonus, their gratuities, they will be cleared. Government has to allocate money. Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane has expended a lot of time on foreign debt. We think that local debt, $10 billion you owe our people, will become our focus before we go to foreign debt. Valasungawana will be first before you worry about the foreigners. They've spent the last 4 years debt restructuring, debt payments. The debt loan repayments are so high, yet they've ignored the over $10 billion they owe the domestic economy, our contractors, suppliers, treasury bills, and others. The focus has to go to our local economy. You can't be repatriating the money that we've been repatriating without resolving the crisis locally. So, then to workers in general, like we said, the taxable salary and wages to not be more than 15%. For those earning 10,000 kwacha and below, there'll be 0%. They will not pay any taxes. For those earning 10,100 to 20,000 kwacha, they'll pay 10%. For those earning 20,000 kwacha, 100 and above, will only pay 15%. Taxes cannot develop your country. It's a lazy way. It's a lazy way just to milk this small population of 1 million people in formal workplace, and you are leaving them 40%, 35%. Why don't you broaden the tax base? How many people are eligible to pay taxes in Zambia? Over 8-9 million people. Why is it that there's only a small band of people carrying the weight for the entire country, for the entire 20 million? So there will be drastic reforms to our policy structure. Spread the burden. You can't put this entire burden on a few people and you are taxing them 40%, 35%, 30% now. There's something that should be done to the public service workers. They always tell me how the few remaining housing infrastructure that have remained are occupied by retirees. So government has not cleared the retirement for these people, and they are still in these houses. So if you send a young teacher, the ones you've recruited, Max Moe, a young nurse, and the hospital has maybe 5, 7, 8 houses, you will find that all of them are occupied by retirees waiting to be paid, waiting to be repatriated. This, for the sake of our workers, this will become very urgent to establish the number and clear these retirees, pay them their repatriation so that those houses can be freed and people can have decent accommodation. Value-added tax will drop from 16% to 8%. Our people are already overtaxed, and VAT is already at high at 16%. And remember, the mining entities survive on VAT refund. That tax will be reformed. The fraud currently taking place, where they sell our copper and they don't even have to repatriate a single ngwe. They will just put a huge claim of millions of dollars from ZRA. And that tax account, VAT tax account, is always negative. Ko Dingani from ZRA or anyone who runs, or any customs official or any person at VAT. That's one of the most poorly account, the VAT account. Yet it's supposed to be your big earner because you are collecting 16% from our people across board on no goods and services they are buying. Why should it be negative? Why should we owe millions of dollars to the mining sector? The fraudulent activities are occurring on that tax must come to an end. If you have to reform it, if you have to abolish it, to that extent, you have to do it. There was an attempt in 2018 where it was replaced by customs, a customs tax, and it didn't need to be a VAT refunded tax. There should be proper mechanisms. Sometimes I wonder, all these experts we have in our country who've been to school, some educated as far as Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, you mean we can't design a tax policy that's responsive to our country, that stops the bleeding of resources? Many people are saying, but how will you fund the budget if you lower taxes? How will you end poverty? It's very simple. If you reform our tax policies, if you increase domestic revenue, if you create a sovereign wealth fund that we intend to do, it can be done. Look at the moment. The service sector is contributing to our national GDP 56.82%. The industrial sector, which should be your heart, is only contributing 35%. And if it is a mining sector, despite it exporting up to 70% of our export, its contribution is always below 12%. These are things we can dramatically change. You cannot have trading, transport, wholesale, and literally trading contributing to your national budget, to your GDP and economic activities, 56%. What happens to your mining? Why? What happens to agriculture? Agriculture is only contributing 2.23%. We think that a revolutionary thinking around these economic sectors can dramatically shift and change the status of our country. Poverty levels is currently at 60.5%. it will be brought down to 20%. Our country will become a middle income country who ascend way above the sixth poorest country, and it can be done. You make it export oriented, you make agriculture your economic base. Currently, this government and previous governments have always planned to grow for 20 million people. And then you have leakages every year. You are deploying ZNS and the army to stop exports from Malawi and the DRC. What kind of thinking is that? Why do we think in the negative? The market in Congo is yawning. They want our fish. They want our maize. They want our mealie meal. Why don't we plan from day one for them? What's the population of Congo? What's the population of Lubumbashi? How much maize do we need to grow to feed the DRC, Angola, Tanzania, Malawi, Botswana, Zimbabwe? Why can't we think that broadly? You are surrounded by 400 million people. You are a landlocked country. Your borders are open. Your borders have no fencing. Your borders have no security. But you plan to grow for 20 million. Then spend millions of dollars trying to guard that crop to remain inside your house, inside you. What thinking is that? We think that there should be revolutionary thinking. We should recognize our borders are open. We should recognize that there are 400 million people that surround us. And we should therefore plan to grow and feed the 400 million people from day one. So if the FISIP contribution has to jump from, just a minute, maybe this is very urgent. My dear brother, I'm live, but...
We have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. Okay. You may not even be in government.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Feba mingete kuluzela kakatula ngakale kale batuputulako imembudiwa nobufifwe bamitwali wina kuliko twalisula machale chino kumoneka mashina bamulaliwa mankuchaba mbiba profeti wa mumfesa ecology imone kutiye meni papa muongo bale mikapa ukipia bale mitapa ndeke bale pupuka imemwenda pashi chabana bakweta bakona ishilenga bamusician bemefota bachita ishilenga nimumabana kabulema tamakatuko kulibule alilunguna Hichilema ni yani watishinka munda suke sembegoza imalembe wapa makumbi sembe zuba simawala ndabakumwamba sembe.
Thank you. I saw this agent call. A friend of mine is at the University of Zambia, and I'm told the students have been protesting about lack of, I think there's been power shortage for I don't know whether it's 2-3 days, and it's affecting their toilets, it's affecting their water, and there's something happening at the University of Zambia. Hope authorities can attend to that issue. This is what we are talking about. You are exporting power, yet you won't feed your local people, So there are various leakages. We think that the agricultural sector should be a revolution. It can overtake mining in income earning for a country. We think that livestock, both cattle, can, if you put an aggressive program to attend to cattle diseases, and you become an export earner, where you grow the current number of cattle we have is about 4 million. I worked in Western Province, and I spent a lot of time. I actually even took trips to Angola to understand, because there was a claim that most of the diseases come from Angola since they do not vaccinate. And that exchange of cattle between the two countries is a huge trade that occurs between Angola and Zambia, and therefore transports the disease. In the past, Dr. Kaunda had put a barricade. You still can see it up to now. He had put a barricade from Jimbe north up to Kalabo, up to Senanga. You could see the barrier that was stopping cattle from coming into our country. I was trying to pioneer a joint vaccination with Angola, that it is done simultaneously, because you can't stop the trade between the two countries. So if we heal the diseases across Angola, Western Province and Southern Province will not have the cattle diseases, the dengue and other things, and will therefore be eligible to export to the EU. It will be possible for us to grow the cattle population from the current 4 million to 20 million. Then we've said fish industry, we are spending between $300 to $500 million in fish imports. This is another yawning opportunity for our people. Why don't we put the fish farmers, like the FISIP program? You have a separate program for FISIP. You do the nurseries and ensure that the fingerlings in billions are deposited. Kariba was empty. It was a created dam, second largest dam in the entire world. They just brought fingerlings, yaka paint. I think they got it from Japan. And within a period of 6 months to 1 year, there was fish in Kariba. These things can be done. Why should Zambia import fish from China to the tune of $360, $400 million a year? When Lake Bangweulu, Lake Mweru, and the other big lakes in our country can feed not just Zambia, the region and Africa. So the thinking is skewed. You'll have people like Mutale Nalumango and her boss who think that it can be done, that our people remain poor. Something can be done and can be done totally differently. Then we have leakages. The leakages in the country is losing $3 billion in illicit financial flows. The country is losing this $3 billion in tax dodging, tax cheating, and tax avoidance schemes. There are very few people paying taxes. And again, the few people that are paying taxes are also contributing, very little. The leakages are too many that ZRA is undergoing. We will do fair and just taxes to the mining sector. Remember, we had said the ZCCMI should have shareholding in all large-scale mines, whether it's Kagem, whether it's any large-scale mine in our country, now and future mines, up to 51% shareholding. And that will recover the $2.5 billion that First Quantum got to invest in South America, that will cancel the corrupt deals that have been facilitated at Mopani and KCM. Then we'll broaden taxes. You are paying 15% and less. More people have to come on the tax band. John Pombe Magufuli demonstrated in 1 year how he raised billions of dollars in taxes. Projects that were being funded, the few years Magufuli was there, facilitated everything you are seeing now. It can be done. He brought in, I think, 60, 70% persons and people onto the tax bracket, not the way it is, where only a few people are sustaining our country. So we'll broaden, we'll widen the tax base, we'll modernize ZRA. There are many methods to ensure that the money doesn't go in pockets of people and goes to ZRA. There are many tools available, e-tools under e-commerce, and under, if you revolutionize what's happening at ZRA, you modernize it. We rationalize the tax, it will be an incentive for you to pay tax. Because if it's 15%, why would you like to cheat? If it's 40%, you would cheat. Casinos pay up to 145%. You think they will not cheat? They will cheat. So, but if the tax is fair, it will in itself be an incentive to paying it. There will be a critical support to SMEs. Tax evasion and tax avoidance will be criminalized. First, you lower the taxes, it becomes proper for you to pay the taxes. It will therefore become criminal if you now engage in this. This is what everyone does. People should be proud to pay the taxes. They are not proud, they cheat because the taxes are oppressive and too many people don't pay the tax. So that will be changed. We'll create a PIN number that will be connected to your mobile phone like it is with mobile money. If you invest in the back end where you identify civil registration, someone is always linked to a proper NRC. An NRC should not be forgeable. So if you clean up the back end where people are traceable, it is easier to tax them. It is easier to give them loans. It is easier to give them mortgages. At the moment, there is porousness in the civil registration because anyone can get an NRC, anyone can get a passport, and they're not even traceable. So there are investments you do in numbering your country, in numbering each address, in identifying people, in scaling up the technology that is available to identify fingerprints, face recognition system, you embed them into your national ID. Another person can get another ID, the system will reject. And if you're outside this system, it's difficult for you to do e-commerce. So platforms for trade, platforms for paying taxes, platform for everything is now consolidated if you resolve the back-end issue, which is civil registration. If people's homes are numbered, if people's ID are traceable and can be identified properly, like it is in the US, like it is in Europe, you eliminate fraud and therefore you grow your tax base because you can link their number to their national ID and they can pay these taxes. But there has been no key investment. Everyone works in silos. In fact, the issuance of NRC is only an excitement when you are preparing for elections. No, the issuance of NRC, credible ones, with modern identifiable features such as fingerprints, such as face recognition tools. If someone has such an ID, it will help facilitate business in our country, taxes in our country. It should not just be an investment for a vote that you want to rig. Again, it's a wrong mindset. Everything is related to the 2026 elections. It's not related to lifting a generation. It's not connected to lifting our country for decades. The investment that is done is only done for elections, but not for growing our economy. So we think that we should change that. And the public pension fund, NAPSA, public pension and workers' compensation fund, the local superannuation fund, these funds will be tilted in proper investment. Not in the theft that is occurring where you direct it to invest in Mamba or Lusaka and Dollar Joe Carriageway. You even steal the toll fees and you say it's a PPP. The private contractor has not put any money. NAPSA puts the money and you and me are contributing by our tolls. Then you call it a PPP. Such fraud and fraudulent schemes must come to an end. So NAPSA and other public pension must be modernized, changed, revolutionized in a manner that their investment secures the pensioner, that the pensioner at the end of the day should not collect 800 kwacha, should be able to collect a livable living wage every month, even if they're in retirement. It's how you grow the funds, not how you loot NAPSA, but how you grow NAPSA and others. For now, we can discuss this, and I'll invite callers 0973-078082. I just wanted to demonstrate that our country can leapfrog to a middle-income country, that our country, with our natural resources that we have, that we can become a top 5 earner. What does Kenya have? How come its GDP is over $115 billion? Tell me. Kenya is supported by some partly agriculture and the service industry, tourism sector. What about us with tourism products, such as some of the best waterfalls in the world? 17 of them are located in our country. What about the water resources that we have? 40% of our water that we have in Southern Africa is here. It's in dambos, it's in water bodies, it's in rivers, it's in streams, it's in lakes. If we loaded them with fish, we bring in fish sport, fish growing. We do everything around the water. If you take a road there, you take electricity there, you take refrigerated facilities, warehousing facilities there, you mean you can't transform this industry into a fish basket for Southern Africa and Africa? I always give an example of Ukraine, a small country that was feeding half the world. There is a war, and the entire economy around wheat and maize suffers worldwide. Quite want us know. What if in a window of 3 months? What about us who can grow throughout the year? Why can't Zambia become a food basket in the next 2 to 5 years for Africa, and in the next 10 years for the entire world? Why can't we plan like that? Why should we think that our people are doomed to poverty? Let me take your calls, participate in the...
We have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. You may not even be in government.
I think I've said the things I wanted to say. I want to close by saying we should keep our faith in God. We should keep our faith in God. Some more. Oh.
Okay, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello? Uh-oh, hello? Hello? Uh-oh, what's happening to the network is terrible in Zambia, I know. Because let's try. Maybe I call him back. Hello? You know, with extended load shedding, the cell centers, cell sites, have power, standby power, either batteries, solar batteries, or a genset, but they run out because the period of load shedding is far higher than the batteries or standby power can support. So call us. The number is on this line keeps on dropping. Make your contribution to the discussion today. We think that our country can leapfrog from its current poverty levels to a middle-income country, and we can become a top earner, number 5 in Africa, after South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, and Algeria. This is looking at the resources that we are endowed with. If we manage them prudently, we can pay we can quickly dispense with this debt that we have, and grow our economy. We have to stop the corruption. We have to stop the giving away of assets, of national assets, in the manner that we are given. Please call and contribute. Someone says we can't go through. I hope no one is tampering with this number. Yeah. Hello?
Ambassador Mwamba.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Okay, Brian Kangwa, calling from Lusaka.
Yes, sir.
Mkwai. How feel you from Lilondo, Ambassador Mwamba?
Mkwai.
In the trade, Tambe, Fresh take a fiance Mutale Chase, Kuno Goturi. So now, network that we should bring a network, I should bang and finish I should pay. So, contribution and Chando Kavati, Comet Mwamba.
Oh, yeah. People are trying to call it. They're trying to call it. Yeah, someone has commented from a story from Zamsa that the former minister of health and the state house official who've been implicated must be arrested if President Hakainde Hichilema is serious with fighting corruption and with fighting theft of drugs. This is arising from what ZAMSA Director General Victor Nyasulu stated. So this person is calling for the arrest of Madam Sylvia Masebo. Yeah, this one says network I can't go through. Yo esheni tabakwanishe. Esheni tabakwanishe. Yeah, this one says Zambians wake up. We have witnesses. Here are the 61 containers, and Sylvia Masebo has been named. What is the police doing? Okay. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
Am I through to the podcast?
Yes, you are.
My name is Chandamlenga.
But Chandamlenga, you can put volume down on the set behind you, whatever device you are using, so that we don't have feedback. But continue.
All right, I've actually switched it off.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm calling you from England.
Oh, okay.
No, Mwamba, we are so grateful with what you are doing. I've been following the podcast. You've come up with very, very good points, and hopefully what you are saying there can be fully implemented in the next government. You know, we've observed a lot of wrong things that have been happening in our country, which is a major source of concern for most of us. We've seen statements being made by senior government officials concerning the statement that was made by the American ambassador, which is quite worrying for our people. You know, the pulling away of the American government, it is going to affect a lot of our people in Zambia.
Yeah.
Abantu abengi, you know, they are living on these ARVs.
Yes, 1.2 million people.
Yes.
That's a large number, 1.2 million people.
Yeah, and you know, when the UPND government came into power, they promised to fight corruption. I think that's one of the reasons why the majority of the Zambians decided to vote for them. But what we are seeing is the exact opposite of what they had promised.
Yeah.
You know, the clip that you played of Mr. Nyasulu,
yeah,
he has clearly stated that he's just being used as a pawn. There are bigger people who are involved.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen anything from the government. It's quite worrying.
Mm-hmm.
We are very happy with what you are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Please call. Some calls are beginning to go through. People are still complaining about the network. Probably it's from Zambia, but people are beginning to go through. Make your call, and let's participate in the program. Someone says, play that video by Mr. Nyasulu on Heart FM. It was very clear. He put it very, very clear that, look, I'm just a small person in this entire process. The big fish who were pushing, he named them. He didn't shy away. And for people suffering from load shedding, you know.
I'm also aware of the electricity problems that Zambia is facing. But despite the problems that we have with the supply of electricity in Zambia, you still supply us with electricity. Again, you would have said, we cannot sacrifice our power when we have shortage. But you still give us. Katima Mlilo town, where I come from here, is supplied with power from Zambia. When you have a power outage here, we also have power outage. But that's the brotherhood we are talking about, the neighborhood we're talking about. And we should only be grateful and continue to exist in this manner. You spoke also about the Walsh-Bendola-Lubumbashi corridor. I want to tell Your Honor that that corridor was developed during our time. I was Permanent Secretary of Works and Transport. And my counterpart here was Judge Sichinga, Dominic.
The power issue, I think, is huge here. And colleagues, we continue to share everything. The issue of power, SC, you know, when you are in a country like mine, when we have passed through a lot of load shedding, people say, oh, so you see, they are selling power to Namibia. This is a town in Namibia, very close to Zambia. We are talking of one-stop border, for example. And if you have one town with blackout, then how do you do 24-hour? But this was an agreement, that is the only thing I would add, was an agreement that was signed in 2020 between Zambia and Namibia. And you don't give up or relegate such commitments. As you have seen, Zambia is a reliable friend to everybody that they work with. So we don't just say because the situation has come, when in fact there is no other solution on the other side. That's why we are also importing power, as the others are, you know, getting a bit, just a bit of power from here. We will continue. Let's invest it together in the systems, like I said, in renewable sources of energy. Together we can develop and be interconnected and ensure that there is no disruption in our economic development, because power has so much on that.
Thank you very much. Someone says, can we text? Yes, you can text. You can text. Whatever they're trying to do will not work, but keep on calling. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Taonga, calling you from the Copper Belt.
Yes, Taonga. Hello. was got enough you are mine. But you can text. You can text for those that wish to text. You can text. Let the people speak. Let our people talk. Hello, my dear sister.
Yes, unfortunately, I've not been able to even follow this program today, despite looking forward to it, because the network here is very bad. Maybe you were able to hear for 10 seconds and it goes just like that. So
okay,
it's really unfortunate that now when we cannot listen to what we want to anymore now.
No, don't worry. You can play it back after. It will be like a video. So after this program, you can play it again.
Yes, but it's unfortunate because we wanted to have that interaction with you now. Anyway, we wait for the program to end, then we play it back.
Yeah, but what were your thoughts?
It's very disappointing that the people that we expect to take care of our problems, those who promised us that they would sort out and fix everything, are now telling us that, we always have poverty. Even if we change government, we will remain poor, and we're being praised by neighboring countries to say we are supplying them with power, while here our businesses are dying because of no power. And that person is very saying that you could have said, no, we can't supply you. And yet when they come to us, they defend themselves to say these contracts are very complicated, you can't pull out.
Which is just a lie.
But yes, this is a natural occurrence. You have a drought. There's no way you can supply what you don't have. So they really take us for granted. They think we are very understanding and very powerless. We can't do anything. So it's unfortunate, but this is their time. We'll also have our time next year.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'll be trying to call back these people who are. Okay, please call back. For those that keep on missing, let's try. I'll try to call you back.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Joseph, I'm calling you from within Washington.
Oh, wonderful. Please make your contribution.
Surely. I just like the way you've, articulated things. One of the things that I think still stands to this very day, the revelations that keep coming is actually testimony enough to, to the reality that this government does not really mean well for the Zambian people. Their complete departure from the promises that they had made to the Zambian people is testimony enough, again, to tell the Zambian people that these do not mean well. The truth of the matter is this: no matter how long, people can give this government time, be it 10, 20 years from now, there is nothing that can change. Changing a country is a mindset. What mindset have you gone with in governance?
Yeah.
It is very true that, their aim is to make money at whatever cost. They don't really care about the Zambian people. In short, our government is highly entangled such that, there is nothing. The decisions that are being made, they are not being made in the interest of the Zambians, but they are cooperating partners, those that, funded them, before they came to power. That is where the problem is. But at the same time, we are happy because, you are giving solutions. One of the things that I've heard most of the time, those that support this government, whenever you challenge them on the, on the things, on their failures, they'll be like, hey, is this what kind of opposition? Give solutions. What you've brought is the answer that the Zambians need. And for me, I'm so happy because we still have people like you, Ambassador Mwamba, that it's a pity that in Zambia we do not hold, people of your caliber in high esteem. This is, you are the kind of people that we really need in Zambia, except that UPND has brought in a culture, of watering down people, people that can actually contribute to the meaningful development of our country. They do not want to recognize people like that. But anyhow, there is still hope. 2026, we know that these days are gone. With all these revelations that have come out, and the good thing is that they are not coming from the opposition. They're coming from, that is the United States of, America. You look at the ambassador there. Look at the man that they fired from Zamsa. Those revelations are big, which should have actually put this government on their knees. And if anything, would have had some people really, resigning on moral grounds. But of course they wouldn't. But all the same, there is still hope. After 2026, we are regaining our country and we'll get to reset it to default so that we begin that foundation that PF laid. Had they continued to build on that foundation, would have been somewhere else, but they are too proud. And unfortunately, before the downfall, pride comes first. And they are being consumed by their very things, their very mingalato that they set. They are the very things that are consuming them. At the end of the day, there will be nothing left for them. I thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you for the opportunity also that you gave me to air my views. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have been changing political governance, but why are we still poor? You can throw out new dawn and still remain poor. You may not even be in government.
Feba mingwete kuluzela kakatula ngakale kale batupundulako imembudiwa n'obufifwe bamitwaliwina kuliwekuliku twalisula machale chino kumoneka mashina bamunaliwa mankucha.
Yeah, please make your contribution. Tell us your name and make your contributions.
This is Monga from Mazabuka.
Yes, Mr. Monga.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate what is happening in the country. It's very, very unacceptable what is happening. Dictatorship, harassment, there is no freedom of expression. They enforce the cyber law whereby you can't say anything. Arrested. So, we are asking from you, opposition, can you unite? We need to kick out this government.
Yeah.
2026. Please.
Yeah. Okay.
I submit. Thank you very much.
Prophet wa mufya psychology imone kutiye meni papa ubongo bale mitapa ukipia bale mitapa ndeke bale pupuka imwenda panshi ticha bana bakweta bapona ishilenga bamisishani bemefota bachita ishilenga imomabana kabulema tamakatunko kulibule alilungula Hichilema ni yani watishinka munda suke
Sembegoza imalembe wapa makumbi Sembezo.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what has happened, but we seem to have a serious challenge with network. I've got excellent network in the US. It's not supposed to affect my broadcast. I'm using a local number. Maybe it can affect the local number in the event that they're interfering with. But because I'm broadcasting from the US, I shouldn't have network trouble. You can have network trouble, but I shouldn't have network trouble. But we have delivered. What I can advise to you is that you You can quickly rewatch the program because, Facebook resets it as a video without interference. So you'll be able to watch it like that. Today we're discussing the potential to reality to lift our country out of poverty, to reduce poverty levels from 60% to 20%, to make our country a middle-income country, to make it an export-driven economy in the next 2 to 5 years. Use the base of livestock agriculture as a base for mass employment. We've demonstrated that we can be an export hub for power with Mamba collieries. We should stop the looting that is going on at ZESCO, at NAPSA, the way they've handled the mines. There is a way that our country can be lifted out of poverty into wealth and prosperity. Bring down those taxes to nothing above 15%, and that your pay as you earn should be below 15%. Your corporate taxes should be below 15%. So until we have a program next time, God bless you, God bless our country, God bless you, and shalom, shalom.